Claire didn't want to go. She said it while she was putting earrings in, which meant she'd been thinking it since breakfast. We can just Venmo Marissa the cover charge, she said, clipping one stud a little too hard. Tell her I ate bad shrimp. You haven't even left the house yet. I said, exactly. I'm preemptively sick. I finished buttoning my cuffs and watched her in the mirror. Claire has this habit of smoothing her dress down over her thighs when she's bracing for something. She did it 3 times in a row. Is Derek going to be there? I asked. She didn't answer. That was the answer. If you want to skip it, we skip it. I said, no. She exhaled through her nose. Straighten her shoulders. If I bail, Marissa wins, and Derek wins. And then I spend the next month feeling like I'm still letting those people decide what I'm allowed to do. Then I'm driving. She smiled at me, small and grateful. You don't have to play bodyguard. Never said I was playing. Glenview Club is a kind of place where everyone tips like they're being graded on it. Claire led the way through the lobby. Chin up, heels clicking. I trailed half a step behind. That used to be a joke between us, me in the background, her lighting up the room. Tonight, it felt different before it even started. Marissa intercepted us near the buffet. Blonde, spray tan within an inch of her life, wearing a dress that cost more than most people's mortgages and fit like a threat. Claire, Marissa threw her arms out like we hadn't RSVP'd 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, you look rested. Marriage agrees with you. Hi, Marissa, Claire said evenly. Marissa's eyes slid to me. Didn't land, just slid. And this is Julian. I said, right, Julian. She dragged the name out like she was trying to remember if it belonged to a caterer. Derek's gonna lose his mind. He was just asking where Claire's new boyfriend was. Husband, Claire corrected. Marissa laughed like Claire had told a cute knock-knock joke. Come on, let's grab a table. Derek's at the bar holding court. Claire's hand brushed my arm. Stay, she mouthed. I stayed. Derek came over 12 minutes later. Navy blazer. No tie. Hair product fighting a losing battle against the humidity. He clapped a hand on my shoulder like we were frat brothers. Julian, right? He said. Good to see you manning the perimeter. I'm not manning anything. I said, drink? Nah, I'm on vodkas. Club soda for you? Neat bourbon. He grinned at Claire, still with the boring drinks. Huh, you always hated the loud ones. Claire stiffened. Derek, relax. I'm kidding. He leaned back against the high top, swirling his glass. So, Julian, what do you do? Marissa said something about finance? Something like that. See, that's modest. I like that. Modest guys usually don't have to prove shit. Or, he tilted his head. They just don't have shit to prove yet. Claire set her wine down harder than she meant to. Derek, don't start. Start what? He held his palms up. All innocence. I'm just making conversation. It's a reunion. We catch up. I'm lead VP at Halstead now. Family's finally closing that transit corridor deal. New York anchor firm came in. 18 bill. Biggest thing the Midwest touched in years. Dad basically handed me the press circuit. Congratulations. I said, appreciate it. Hard work. You know, name recognition matters in this game. People gotta know who they're dealing with. He took a sip, eyes locked on mine over the rim. Kind of funny, honestly. Claire marries quiet. Nothing personal. Brother. But nobody here actually knows who you are. You're just the guy signing the tabs and keeping her comfortable till she figures it out. The room didn't go quiet. That's the thing about moments like this. Nobody else hears it. Just the 3 of us. Claire went still. Not angry yet. Ashamed. Which is worse. Don't talk to him like that, she said. Voice low. Derek laughed. What? I said, he's a placeholder. Placeholders aren't offended by the truth. Claire, you traded a Halstead for a guy who doesn't even have a LinkedIn headline people recognize. No judgment. Sometimes girls just need a soft landing. I put my glass down, left a 20 on the bar. We're leaving, Claire said, grabbing my hand. Claire, come on, Derek started. She didn't look at him. She pulled me through the crowd. past Marissa's table, where 3 people suddenly found the floor very interesting, and out the side doors into the parking lot. The car was silent until we hit Eden's. Claire kept rubbing her thumb over the back of my hand, like she was trying to erase something. "I'm sorry," she said. "I shouldn't have brought you. I knew he'd be like that. He's always been." Claire, so threatened, "because you actually listened to me. And he never." Claire, she shut up. I downshifted at the light and looked over. She was crying, but the angry kind. The kind where she won't wipe her cheeks because she doesn't want to admit she cares what Derek thinks. "You think I give a damn that he called me a nobody?" I asked. "No," she said immediately. "But I hate that he tried to make you feel small in front of me." "He didn't. Julian, he didn't," I repeated, "because I know exactly who I am, and I know exactly who he is." She studied me in the dash lights. "You're mad." "Not at you." That seemed to scare her more than if I'd yelled. I dropped her at the building. She stood on the curb, hugging her coat around herself. "Aren't you coming up?" "Gonna swing by the office." I said, "One call. On a Friday? Couple of emails." I lied. "Go upstairs. Open the Cabernet." "Julian, please don't do anything." "Derek." "I'm not doing Derek." I said, reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm doing business." She hesitated, then leaned into my palm for half a second before turning and walking through the lobby doors. The garage under Cross Harbor is dead quiet on Friday nights. I killed the engine and sat there for a minute, scrolling through Elias's messages. 3 unread. The top one, Halstead Transit term sheet finalized. Board approval stamped. Your signature locks the $18 billion JV. Need green light by Monday EOD. I called him. He picked up on the first ring. "Either you're breaking up with me or you're in the office." "Freeze Halstead." I said. Elias didn't miss a beat. "Which part?" "All of it. Every LOI. Every subcontractor rider. The Anchor New York Bridge note. Everything tied to the corridor deal. Issue a formal compliance hold on Derek Halstead personally. Conflict of interest pretext. Make legal write up clean." Silence on Elias's end. Then, "You at the reunion?" Derek called me a placeholder. Elias exhaled, somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. "Christ, you know his dad's company bleeds out in 60 days without that signature, right?" "I know. And Claire? She thinks I'm just answering emails." Another pause. Elias knew the rule. We don't talk about Claire in the office, but we don't bullshit each other either. "You want me to send a freeze memo Monday morning or tonight?" He asked. "Draft it tonight. Send it Monday at 8:05. Give him time to pour his first coffee." "Cold," Elias said, almost admiring. "He doesn't know cold." I said, looking up at the glass box in my office from the garage floor. "He knows comfortable. Let's fix that." I hung up, killed the screen, and stared at the dark windshield for a second. Claire was upstairs right now, thinking I was pissed at her, thinking I was retreating the way I always did when things got loud. She didn't get it yet. I didn't retreat. I just moved the fight. Somewhere Derek couldn't follow me. Somewhere his name didn't open doors. It closed them. My phone lit up again. "Claire, texting, whines breathing. So am I. Please just come home." I typed back, "On my way in 20. Love you." Then I forwarded Elias one last note. Add a clause. "If Richard Halstead wants the deal alive, Derek's off the lead. Permanently." Elias replied, "Noted. Also, you're a scary motherfucker when you're in love." I locked the phone, got out of the car, and headed for the elevator. Elias texted me at 7:58 on Monday. "Compliance hold filed. GC at Halstead just opened her inbox. Have fun." I was already at the office, 3 coffees deep, pretending to care about a renewables deck, so Claire wouldn't hear anything weird in my voice when she called. She did. "Anyway, you were quiet this morning," she said, not accusing, just reading me. "Weekend lag," I said, flipping a pen between my fingers. "You sleep okay?" Eventually, Derek blew up Marissa's mentions at 2 a.m. She texted me screenshots. He's bragging about some big Monday announcement. "Let him." I said, Claire was quiet for a second. Julian, whatever you're doing, eating a bagel. I lied. Go run your gallery. I'll take you to Gibson's later if you want. She let it drop. Claire always lets it drop when she thinks I need space. That used to be the best thing about us. Lately, I'm starting to think it's the part I'm exploiting. Derek called me at 9:12. Julian, hey, man, too chipper. The kind of chipper that means he's about to ask for a favor or take credit for air. Listen, crazy thing. Our legal department says there's a freeze on the JV docs, some random compliance flag. Figured since Claire said you do finance stuff. Maybe you know someone at the anchor firm who can nudge it loose. My dad's losing his mind. I don't nudge. I said, right. Modest guy. He laughed. Nervous now. Seriously, though, it's a glitch. The New York guys already greenlit me. 18 bill doesn't just stall over a typo. It's not a typo. Derek. He paused. Okay, then what is it? Background review. Standard when we restructure lead personnel. Personnel? He actually scoffed. Dude, I'm the personnel. It's Halstead Group. The deal's named after us. I said. Another pause. Longer this time. I could practically hear the vodka soda sweat breaking out across his collar. Is this about Friday? He asked, voice dropping. Come on, man. I was riding a buzz. You know how those things go. Claire knows I talk out my ass. Don't ice a generational contract because I ribbed you at an open bar. You didn't rib me. Then what? You talked to my wife like she was a transaction you returned. You don't get to do that. And then ask me to clear your legal queue before lunch. Silence. Then the mask slipped. Okay, fine. Derek said, clipped, if this is some pissing match. Just tell Claire to chill. She gets sensitive. We've got history. You know how it is. I hung up, didn't block him. Just hung up. Elias knocked on my doorframe 10 minutes later. Tablet in hand. Richard, Halstead's assistant, is blowing up our main line. They want to sit down. Not yet. You want to see the cash flow projection without us? Elias sat, crossing one leg over the other. $63 million in operating debt hits Halstead on the 30th if that corridor money doesn't land. Good. Your wife call you yet? Briefly. She's going to figure it out. Elias said, tapping the screen. Women like Claire don't stay in the dark long. She's already wondering why her husband suddenly has a hard-on for a construction conglomerate he never mentioned before Saturday night. She thinks I'm being professional. I said. Elias gave me a look. You're not. You're being territorial. There's a difference. One gets you laid. The other gets you divorced. Noted. He slid the tablet across my desk. Sign the whole memo and I'll circulate internally. Or we can just walk the whole thing and blackball them across the tri-state bid registry. Up to you. I signed it. Hard. Derek showed up at Claire's gallery at 4:15. She texted me a photo just as back, standing by the front desk, hands in his pockets like he owned the place. No caption. I called her. He says he wants to apologize to both of us. Claire said, voice low, in person, at dinner. Tell him no. I did. He's ignoring me. He says if I don't help him clear up the contract thing, his dad's going to can him by end of day. I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall. He said that to you? He couched it as a joke. But Julian, he's shaking. Actually shaking. What did you actually do? Claire, don't lie to me, she said, sharper than I've heard her in years. Is the contract real? Are you the anchor firm? I rubbed the bridge of my nose. Yes. She didn't scream. That's the thing about Claire. She doesn't scream. She just goes very still and very precise. 18 billion, she said. 18 billion. And you froze it because he called you a nobody, because he talked down to you. I corrected. Jesus Christ. She breathed out, and it sounded like something breaking. You don't use that kind of leverage over reunion insult. That's not protection. Julian, that's a hostile takeover of my past. It's a business decision. I said, knowing how hollow it sounded. No, it's not. It's a message. And now I have to stand here and watch him unravel while he thinks I put you up to it. Derek's voice drifted faintly through the phone, something smug about the lighting in the gallery. Get him out of your space. I said, now. Or what? She challenged. You'll bankrupt his dad next? She hung up. I was in the car before Elias realized I'd left the building. He texted once. You can make this personal or smart. I didn't answer. When I pulled up outside the gallery, Derek was on the sidewalk, leaning against the window like he was waiting for an Uber. Claire was inside, arms crossed, staring at the floor. Derek straightened when he saw my car, smirked, walked over and tapped the passenger window. I rolled it down halfway. Claire said you're the guy. Derek said, no preamble. So let's skip the middleman. Unfreeze the docs. I'll buy her a drink. We all laugh about Friday. And I won't tell the alumni group you're actually a shark instead of a placeholder. I stepped out of the car, closed the door gently. Here's the update. I said, keeping my voice even. The compliance review found irregularities in your last 3 subcontractor bids. Conflict of interest, self-dealing, the usual mid-tier panic. My legal team is recommending removal of you from a Halstead lead effective today. His face went the color of drywall. You can't. My name's on the press release. Press releases change. Personnel don't. My dad will override you. Your dad's already seen the alternative cash flow model. I said, he knows what happens if I walk the entire corridor bid. He's not calling you back. Derek, check your phone. Derek yanked his phone out, scrolled. His thumb hovered, then stopped. The color drained completely. You did this. He whispered. I did. Over a tab at Glenview? Over how you made my wife feel small, so you could feel tall for 5 minutes. I said, you don't get to use her to pad your ego and then come to her job asking for a favor. He stepped closer, jabbing a finger. You think this makes you a man? Holding an economy over a grudge? Claire pushed the gallery door open. She'd been listening. He's not holding an economy. Claire said, walking out to stand beside me. He's holding a pen. And you taught him exactly who you become when someone hands you one. Derek looked between us like he was calculating odds and realizing none of them hit. This isn't over. He muttered. It was over the second you introduced yourself to me like I was invisible. I said, go home. Your dad's going to need you to sign your resignation letter before close of business. He didn't move until Claire took my hand. Then he just deflated, turned and walked his car without another word. We drove back to the apartment in silence. Claire didn't let go of my hand, but she didn't look at me either. When we got inside, she kicked off her shoes and leaned against the kitchen island. You should have told me, she said finally. I didn't want you to carry it. Too late. I'm carrying it now. Marissa's texting me nonstop. Derek's losing his role. His dad's board is in chaos. People are screenshotting his LinkedIn meltdown. She looked up. You don't play small. Julian, I've always known that. But I need to know where the line is before you burn the whole city down for me. There is no line, I said, meaning it as a comfort. She flinched like it wasn't. That's what scares me, she said softly. You didn't just pull a contract. You rewrote his life in 24 hours because I bit my lip at a bar. What happens next time someone looks at me wrong? I didn't have an answer she wanted, so I didn't give her one. She poured herself a glass of water instead of the wine we talked about yesterday, walked into the bedroom, and shut the door. Not locked, but close enough that I heard the click. My phone buzzed. Elias again. Richard Halstead requested a private dinner tomorrow night. Wants to restructure the JV if Derek's off the masthead. Said he'll sign whatever. I stared at the message for a long time, then at the bedroom door. Claire was right. I hadn't played small. But she was also wrong about one thing. This wasn't about Derek looking at her wrong. It was about the fact that for 4 years, I built a life where Claire never had a flinch in a room again, and some prick in a navy blazer decided one Friday night that my silence meant permission. Elias texted once more, you going to bring her to the table or keep her in the dark? I typed back, send the dinner invite to Claire too. Put her name on the lead masthead for foundation grant attached to the corridor. Let Derek read that. Then I set the phone down and knocked once on the bedroom door. I'm not sleeping in the guest room. I said through the wood. Then stop treating me like a reason and start treating me like a partner, she said from the other side. Fair, but partners cost more than $18 billion. And I wasn't done making Derek pay for the difference. Claire moved her things into the guest room Wednesday morning. Not dramatically, just came out with her laptop, a hoodie, and her skincare bag while I was making espresso. Guest room's colder. I said, she said, not stopping. Claire, she paused in the hallway. You want to talk about Halstead over breakfast again? Because I've got a contractor calling me about the gallery plumbing. And I'm trying really hard not to wonder if you own the plumbing company too. You'd know if I did. Exactly. She disappeared into the room and shut the door. Softer than yesterday. Softer hurts worse. The dinner with Richard Halstead was set for Thursday at Gibson's. Elias moved Claire onto the invite at my request. CC'd her directly so she couldn't claim ignorance. She texted me at noon. I'm not using your deal to rehab my ego. Me, it's not rehab. It's a seat at the table. Her, you put me on the foundation grant. Marissa sent me the draft. It literally says Claire Bennett Cross Infrastructure Fund. You branded a transit corridor after my maiden name. Me, thought you'd like it. Her, you thought you'd buy the apology, so you didn't have to say it out loud. I didn't text back. Thursday night. Claire's gallery had its quarterly showcase anyway. The one she'd been prepping for months. She told me not to come. I showed up at 8 with a bottle of Krug and kept to the back wall like I did at Glenview. Bad call. Derek showed up at 8:17. Nobody invited him. He wasn't even on the list. But he knows the building manager. Walked in wearing the same navy blazer. Sleeves rolled. Red in the face before he even opened his mouth. Claire, he shouted across the room. Not yelling. Just loud enough that the donors turned their heads. Got a minute? Or is your husband screening your calendar now? People went quiet. Claire was by the sculpture pedestal, champagne in hand, knuckles white. I started forward. Elias, who'd tag along out of morbid curiosity, caught my arm. Let her handle it. If you step in, he wins a narrative that you own her. I stayed put. Hated Elias a little for being right. Claire stepped away from the pedestal and met Derek in the middle of the floor. You're not welcome here, she said, loud enough to carry. Derek laughed, swaying slightly. Come on. I built your first opening guest list back in the day. Just want to chat. Your boy Julian froze my entire division today. Claire, HR emailed me a separation packet with your new funds letterhead attached. Real classy. A couple of the donors exchanged looks. Marissa, who apparently materialized out of nowhere, filmed it on her phone, put the phone down. Marissa, Claire said without looking at her. I'm just documenting the drama. Marissa sing-songed. Derek pointed a finger at Claire. All I'm asking is you talk to him. One conversation. You know I didn't mean half the shit I said Friday. Placeholder. Whatever, it was a joke. But now my dad's pension partners are pulling out. You're gonna watch me drown because your husband's got a god complex? Claire set her glass down on a display plinth. Steady. You didn't call him a placeholder because you were drunk, she said, voice completely flat now. You called him that because you walked into a room with Julian Cross and realized nobody in here has ever actually cared who Derek Halstead is. Not even me. Not even when we were married. Derek's face twisted. Bitch, you, out, I said. I didn't raise my voice. Just stepped between them. Derek spun on me. Oh, here he is. The ghost with the pen. You like that? I'm tweeting that. The ghost with a pen who hides behind his wife's. Elias appeared with security before Derek finished the sentence. They didn't rough him up, just steered him toward the door. Derek was shouting about non-competes and Bloomberg terminals the whole way out. Marissa slipped out right behind him. Claire stood perfectly still in the center of the room while the donors pretended to look at art again. We drove home in separate cars. She beat me there by 4 minutes. I found her in the kitchen pouring boiling water over a tea bag like it owed her money. You handled it. I said, I handled you. She corrected. That scene was yours, not mine. Derek's just the idiot who wandered into it. He came to your job drunk because you made him desperate. There's a difference between protecting me and manufacturing a crisis so you can solve it. I leaned against the counter. You really think I manufactured this? I think you like freezing him, she said, meeting my eyes for the first time all night. And I think you like that I had to stand there and realize how much power you keep in your pocket. I kept it in my pocket for 4 years. I said. He reached in and grabbed. And now I sleep in the guest room. She shot back, voice cracking finally. Because the second someone disrespects me, you escalate it to a 9-figure corporate execution and expect me to be grateful. I don't expect gratitude. Then what do you want? The honest answer was, I want you to never have to flinch again. But I knew how that sounded now. Like a hostage situation dressed up as romance. So I said nothing. She nodded once. Like my silence confirmed something she'd been afraid of. Richard Halstead called me, she said, changing gears abruptly. While you were dealing with Derek out front, I straightened. He called you? Direct line. Apologized for Derek. Asked if I'd approve the restructured JV if Julian steps back from the personal hold. And I told him I don't speak for you. Good. I also told him, she continued, that if he wants the Claire Bennett Cross Infrastructure Fund to exist, I want editorial control over the community grants. No more backdoor real estate plays. She wasn't asking permission. She was telling me she'd already negotiated. You're taking the seat. I said, someone has to. You won't tell me what the fuck you're doing until it's already done. She dumped the tea bag in the sink. Friday morning, I'm signing the grant framework with your legal team. Not as your wife. As a named principal. Claire, don't, she said. You wanted me in the room? Fine. But stop looking at me like I'm something you have to defend, and start looking at me like I'm someone who can actually read a term sheet. She walked past me, stopped in the hallway, and looked back. Also, Derek's father is flying in from New York to grovel tomorrow night. If you pull the contract completely just to punish Derek further, don't bother coming home after. I mean that. She shut the guest room door. This time I heard the lock. Elias called at midnight. Security forwarded me the clip Marissa posted. He said, no preamble. 3,000 views already. Derek looks like a drunk, but you look like a shadow operator. PR wants a statement distancing Cross Harbor from the Halstead family drama. Kill the statement. I said, you sure? Let them wonder. But draft the unconditional walkaway. If Halstead doesn't agree, declares grant terms by tomorrow dinner. We blackball them across Illinois and Indiana. Elias was quiet. You're going to torch 18 bill over a foundation grant? I'm going to torch it because she asked me not to, and then she asked me to let her earn it. I said, rubbing my eyes. So we do it clean. No placeholders. No shadows. You're in love with her. Elias said, almost bored. Scary how much? Yeah, I said, staring at the guest room door. Scarier how much I'd rather be right than understood right now. That's not love. Elias said, that's ego with a prenup. He hung up. From behind the locked door, Claire's phone buzzed. I heard her murmur a reply to someone, Richard, probably, confirming the dinner. Then the mattress creaked, and the light under the door went out. Tomorrow she'd sit at the table. Tomorrow Derek would get the email stripping his name from everything. And tomorrow I was going to find out if Claire actually wanted a partner, or if she just wanted Derek gone and me back to being the quiet guy who signed the bar tabs. I wasn't sure I knew how to be that guy anymore. Richard Halstead flew in from Rye at 6 a.m. Sent a car for Claire. Not me. She took it. That stung more than I expected. Elias rode down with me to the closing dinner. Handed me the folder without a word. Halstead's countersigned everything. Claire's grant. Derek off the masthead. The transit corridor restructured under Cross Harbor's infrastructure arm, with Claire listed as community principal. Clean. Clinical. You gonna smile when she signs? Elias asked in the elevator. I'm gonna stay out of her way until she does. Too late for that. But okay. Gibson's private room was already thick with Halstead attorneys when we got there. Richard stood the second Claire walked in. Gray suit, bloodshot eyes, hand extended like he was approaching a queen he'd accidentally insulted. Claire, Richard said, Thank you for agreeing to sit. Claire didn't shake his hand. Sat down, opened the folder, and scanned the pages. Page 4, she said without looking up. The community disbursement timeline is pushed 6 months. Fix it to 90 days or I walk. Richard didn't even argue, nodded at his GC, who scrambled to initial the amendment. I stayed leaned against the sideboard, saying nothing. Watching her work was better than any version of her I'd been protecting. Derek's termination email landed at 7:04. I know because Richard's phone lit up. He glanced at it, went pale, and excused himself to the hallway. Claire looked at me. He just got the packet. I said, "Good," she said, and turned the page. Derek lost his mind 40 minutes later. We heard him before we saw him, shouting at the hostess. Something about valet keys and his father's reservation. Security tried to intercept him at the velvet rope. He shoved past them. The private room door flew open. Derek was in a wrinkled button-down. No jacket. Eyes blown wide. "You brought her?" he said to Richard, vibrating with it. "You brought her to sign my career away?" Richard pinched the bridge of his nose. "Go home." "Derek, fuck that. This is my deal. This is my..." He turned on Claire. "You loving this? Huh? Sitting there playing executive while your husband holds a gun to my dad's head?" Claire didn't rise, didn't blink. "Sit down and read the document. Derek, you were never on the deal. You were on the press release. Because of him." He jabbed a finger at me. "The quiet guy. The nobody. You think this is normal? You think a real man lets his wife settle his ego wars in public?" I stepped off the sideboard. "Last warning." I said, "Or what?" Derek laughed. High and broken. "You'll blacklist me?" "Already did." "Congrats. I've got nothing left to lose." "Julian, so go ahead. Do it in front of Daddy. Show us all how tough you are when you're not hiding behind compliance memo." Richard grabbed Derek's arm. "Enough." Derek yanked away so hard, he knocked a water glass off the edge of the table. It shattered against the baseboard. Claire flinched. Just a micro movement. But Derek clocked it. "There." Derek sneered at me. "See? You still make her jump. Good job. Placeholder." I didn't say anything. Just nodded at the room security detail. They escorted him out the back this time. No scene for the dining room. But Derek screamed the whole way through the kitchen hallway. Something about LinkedIn. Something about Marissa taping it. Something about how Claire was just trading one leash for another. When the door shut, the room was dead quiet. Richard cleared his throat. "The grant language is amended. We can sign whenever you're ready. Mrs. Cross." Claire signed. So did Richard. I added my signature last, just above the corridor valuation line. Done. We didn't speak in the car. Claire was on her phone, scrolling. Marissa posted it. She said finally, "The dinner? The hallway. Derek screaming at you in the back entry. Security hauling him out. Audio's muffled, but the caption says the ghost with the pen finally shows his face." She tossed the phone into her lap. 12,000 views. "I'll have legal kill it." "Don't," she said. "Let people see what he is. You okay?" She didn't answer right away. Stared out the window at the lakefront blur. "I watched you not react tonight. The whole dinner. You just..." Stood there while he fell apart. And I realized something. "What? You didn't freeze that contract because he scared you," she said, turning to me. "You froze it because you already knew exactly how far he'd unravel if you just waited. That wasn't defense. Julian, that was precision. I didn't deny it. Does that make you look at me differently?" I asked. "It makes me look at you clearly," she said, which wasn't a yes or a no. And I hated that. We got back to the building at 10. Derek was on the sidewalk out front. He'd sobered up enough to look pathetic instead of dangerous. Hands in his pockets. Pacing near the awning like he'd been rehearsing. The town car slowed. Claire tensed. Derek saw the plates. Jogged over. And knocked on my window before the driver could lock the doors. "Claire, please," he started. Our building security peeled him off the glass. But he kept talking. Loud enough to echo off the limestone. "I'll drop the non-compete. I'll sign the NDA. Just tell him to leave my dad alone. Claire, come on, you know me. Before all this." You know him. Don't let him turn me into a cautionary tale for your little Grant. Claire rolled down her own window 2 inches. You call him a nobody, she said, calm as glass. He's the reason you're standing in the rain asking me for mercy. Figure out what that makes you. Derek sagged against the building like the air had been let out of him. Security walked him to the curb and told him they were calling the police if he didn't clear the property. He didn't argue, just stood there watching our taillights as we pulled into the garage. Upstairs, Claire didn't go to the guest room. She went to the living room, pulled the footage Marissa posted up on her iPad, and watched it all the way through. Watched Derek scream. Watched Richard fold. Watched me, arms crossed, saying nothing while she signed. When it ended, she set the iPad down and looked at me. You didn't tell Elias to kill the contract, she said. No, you told him to draft the unconditional walkaway, even after I asked you not to escalate. I didn't lie. I told him we wouldn't need it. Richard folded before dinner, but you were ready to burn it. Yes. Why? Because you asked me not to. I admitted, and then you sat at that table and negotiated better terms than I would have given you. I didn't need to burn it anymore. You already took the seat. She stood there for a long time. Then she walked over, not to kiss me, just to rest her forehead against my chest. Stop preparing to ruin people for me. She murmured, if you want to fight, fight where I can see you. No more ghosts. Deal, I said, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. And Julian? Yeah, Derek's done. You don't get to keep punishing him after Monday. One win was enough. Let him go be a cautionary tale somewhere else. Done, I said again. She pulled back, studied my face like she was checking for fine print, then headed for our actual bedroom. No lock this time. Door left open a crack. Elias texted at midnight. Footage is viral adjacent. Halstead board is forcing Derek into a psych, hold by morning. PR says we stay silent. You good? Me. Leave the footage. Let Derek sit with it. Don't touch the blacklist. Elias, you sure? Claire finally talk you down? Me. She didn't talk me down. She stepped up. Different thing. I set the phone on the nightstand and lay down facing the ceiling. Claire was already asleep, one hand curled near mine on the sheet. Tomorrow was the closing dinner with the full New York anchor team. The last time Derek Halstead's name would be anywhere near the paperwork. And for the first time since Glenview, I didn't want to rewrite a single line of it. Claire was in the room now. She didn't need a placeholder, and I didn't need to be one. But I still had one signature left to ink. And Derek still had one more humiliation coming. The kind he'd have to watch Claire deliver herself. Elias moved the closing dinner to Monday at the Peninsula. No press, no Halstead family observers, just the New York anchor partners, Richard Halstead, and the two of us. Claire picked out her own suit, navy, not black, tailored sharp enough that the anchor partners stood when she walked into private library. Richard looked like he hadn't slept in a week. He tried to hug Claire when she came in. She offered a handshake instead. Mr. Halstead, she said, good to see you sober. Richard swallowed it and sat. The New York lead, a woman named Paige Ortega, slid the final JV docs across the table. $18 billion. Restructured. Claire Bennett Cross Community, principal stamped on the first page in bold. Everything's clean. Paige said, glancing between us. Halstead's operating debt clears Thursday pending the signature. Derek's officially resigned from the parent company as of this morning. Claire didn't look at me. He resigned, or did his father push him? Paige didn't miss a beat. Resignation letter cited personal health. The video Marissa posted didn't help his position with the institutional LPs. Claire flipped to the appendix. Scanned the subcontractor carve-outs. I watched her work. No hesitation. No asking me what a clause meant. She knew exactly what she was signing. Before we inked this, Claire said, looking up at Richard, I want him here. Richard froze. Derek? Invite him, she said simply. Conference line is fine. He doesn't get a seat, but he gets to hear the close. Richard looked at me like I might veto her. I just uncapped my pen and set it on the table. Conference line, Richard muttered, dialing his assistant. Derek picked up on speaker 3 minutes later. Voice raspy. Flat. Dad? You're on with Cross Harbor and the New York anchor. Richard said, not unkind. Claire asked for you to hear the final signing. A beat of silence. Then a bitter little laugh. Of course she did. Let the nobody's wife read the eulogy. Claire leaned toward the center of the table, forearms on the wood. Derek, she said, it's Claire, not the wife, not the ex. Claire Bennett Cross, named principal on the corridor. Grant your father's company is about to survive on. Listen closely, because this is the last time we talk. The line went very quiet. You spent 10 years telling people I traded down. She went on. Turns out I traded a man who needed an audience for a man who builds a room and leaves the door closed. You spent one night at an open bar mocking him, and it cost you your name, your title, and your father's faith. That's not cruelty. Derek, that's math. Derek's breath hitched. Claire, save it. She cut in, gentle now, which was somehow worse. You don't get to apologize to me on speaker. You get to hear this. The grant is moving forward. The transit corridor breaks ground in October. You will never work a Halstead bit again, and you will never contact me or Julian off book again. If you do, Richard loses liquidity, and I sign the blacklist personally. Richard wouldn't look at the phone. Derek let out a sound halfway between a scoff and a sob. You really love playing the ghost game now. Huh? Claire smiled. Small. Private. The one she used to save just for me. No, she said. I'm just done being the reason people think he has to. She nodded at Paige. We're ready. Richard signed first. Shaky, but legible. Paige countersigned. Claire pulled the pen I'd left uncapped, dated the corner, and signed her full name in one clean stroke. I signed last. Julian Cross, right beneath hers. Paige gathered the folders. Already pivoting to next quarter, logistics. Richard excused himself the second the ink dried, muttering something about a car to rehab for Derek. The room emptied out in 5 minutes flat. Just Claire and me. She leaned back in her chair, rolling her shoulders like she'd been holding them up for a month. Feels weird, she said. The money or the quiet. Knowing I actually did it. Not that you let me, but that She stopped, shook her head. I was pissed at you for making me a bystander. Now I'm pissed at myself for acting like I couldn't have just asked for the pen sooner. You asked. I said. I just took the long way to hand it over. She reached across the table, hooked 2 fingers in my cuff. Drive me home? I'll drive you anywhere. The car was warm coming off the river. Claire kicked off her heels into the footwell and pulled her knees up, watching the skyline slide past. Marissa texted. She said after a while. Said Derek checked himself into a facility in Naperville. She's deleting the videos and reevaluating her brand. Good. I said. Don't care about Marissa. She said. I care about the part where I slept in the guest room because I was too proud to realize you were trying to translate love into leverage. I admitted. Bad translation. She bumped her shoulder against mine. Next time, just tell me you were fighting for me. I shouldn't have had to. I said before I could filter it. She didn't snap back. Just nodded. No, she agreed. You shouldn't have. But I also shouldn't have made you feel like being quiet meant I didn't notice you were bleeding for me at that reunion. We hit the stoplight at North Avenue. She reached over and laced her fingers through mine. No micro movements. No flinching. So here's the new rule, she said. No more ghosts. No more holds. If someone insults us, we answer together or we ignore it together. But you don't freeze 18 billion without me knowing why. Agreed. And Derek? Done. I said. I meant it. No more escalation. He's a nobody now. Let him stay one. She laughed at that. Actually laughed. Low and tired and relieved. Careful. Say that too loud and people think you learned something. I learned plenty. I said, turning onto our street. Mostly that you're terrifying when you read a term sheet out loud. Good, she said, resting her head against my shoulder. Keep remembering it. We pulled up to the building. Claire didn't wait for the driver, just opened the door herself. Grabbed her shoes. and waited on the curb for me to lock the car. Inside the elevator, she hit the button for our floor, then leaned in and kissed me, not the careful, post-fight kind, the kind that says we're not performing for anyone anymore. When the doors opened, she walked ahead down the hall like she owned the building, which, technically, the grand structure now said she kinda did. I followed, keys in hand. Gallery show next month. She said over her shoulder, "Don't hide in the back. Front and center. I promised." And Julian? Yeah, thanks for not making me ask twice to be in the room. I unlocked the door, pushed it open for her, and followed her in. The guest room door stayed shut all night. We didn't need it.